Everything's still going okay there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, um, today we'll cover the last of the 6 kind of formal commands.
Okay.
And then the next ones, because I think this is number 6 for you.
Yeah.
Right, the next 3 for the, is, we'll just push the obedience so you have more control.
Yeah.
Or were we, I'm trying to think, were we supposed to go over introductions with new children?
I mean, there really aren't any more new children now, but
Okay,
there will be.
okay. Is that something you want to cover?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, she's normally really good, and I think like now that she's like seeing my nephew grow up, like she's not scared of my brother-in-law's little girl, or his sister's little girl.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like react to her as she did when she was reacting to my nephew.
Mm-hmm. Is she older than the nephew?
No, younger.
Younger, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe she like now knows what a baby is,
Mm-hmm.
whereas before she was like, what is this?
Yeah, so when it comes to dog to baby,
Yeah.
how'd you say, interactions, right?
Yeah.
Not uncommon, that, especially like even with my clients, even clients I've had over 10 years,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of them have had families now, or have
Yeah.
families. And they'll email me like, hey Jesse, like we just got our baby home, and like the dog's growling. Or like, oh, the dog was great, but then the baby started crawling and now the dog's
Right,
growling.
that's what freaked her out, was the
Right.
crying.
Is because puppies mature very quickly.
Right.
They're even mature over the course of 8 weeks, you know, and then they're walking around and everything. Whereas for humans, you know, it's a few months before we're walking and all that stuff. Plus we're kind of like, you know, off balance and you're not walking like you would as an adult.
Yeah.
So all those things for dogs is foreign and can be unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always tell everybody, like, it's just coexistence, right? So with someone who has a baby and their dog, it's easier because, like you said, they grow up together,
Yeah.
right? So then eventually, more often than not, when the baby is walking, by that point the dog is like, oh, okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I've been around you for 2 years.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's fine, right? They got used to it. Very, very rarely where there'll still be tension, but it's more so the dog's always had tension, even with humans and stuff.
Yeah.
From the times that I've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So I keep an eye on it. We also don't want to just make assumptions.
Yeah.
Just as FYI, she'd be great with those two, but then like someone outside,
Mm-hmm.
you know, new child, different energy, or maybe it's been a long time since she's been around a kid. So like for me growing up, my aunt had I think 6 kids,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 7,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of kids. And I remember when I was younger, there was me and like maybe 5 to 6 other kids, and I was the oldest by
Mhm.
like at least 6 to 7 years.
Mhm.
So they were little, they were loud,
Mhm.
right? And I was used to it because I was always around little kids.
Yeah.
But then when I got older, there wasn't as many kids around, and then I moved out, got my own place. I remember going back to my aunt's house. They were bigger,
Yeah.
but they were still, like probably, I don't know, like between 8 to like 15. So there's a lot of commotion. I can only be there for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta get out of here because
Yeah.
this is too loud for me, right? Because I'm not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But for her, she's used to it. She's around it 24/7, right? So things like that also play in a factor, or also just how the child approaches. If they're like running towards her, like, hey, right?
Yeah.
That kind of energy will make a lot of dogs unsettled.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. Like, they have boundaries just like we have boundaries. But unfortunately, their means of correcting is nipping and biting, and then people think it's aggressive, and really it's about just, that's how they would correct even a puppy.
Right.
So they correct each other.
Yeah.
Okay. But good, we'll just keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
If there ever was a time where like maybe it was a friend's kid or something like that, or in the future more kids, a structured way that I do introductions
Mm-hmm.
that can help speed along the process.
Okay.
So the good thing is, like, you're just like, yeah, she got over it, she's good, like she's opened up, she's getting used to them, right? That's good because that just kind of, with everything, just kind of resolved itself. But then if it took, let's say, a few months, we can speed that process up a little bit longer, not longer, quicker,
Mhm.
towards like maybe just a few weeks or like just a month or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's not, prolonged. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I guess if we could, like, if we have time,
Mhm.
you know, in other sessions, like, do a little bit more recall.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We'll do recall. I know this week is gonna be super cold.
Yeah,
So that's why I was like, well, we'll do something like this,
yeah,
so you can still have something to practice.
yeah.
And then next week, we're gonna have no choice but to do
Right.
long leash stuff.
Mhm.
So at that point, I'm trying to buy you some time.
Yeah.
But definitely the last 3 classes, you know, aside from like, and I'll let you prioritize them.
Yeah,
If you really want to go over the touch sensitivity stuff, it's really just a class.
yeah.
And actually, I think I'm supposed to send you a video, wasn't I?
Oh,
With the variety?
yeah.
Actually, yeah, I just have to remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I have a really good session with that.
okay,
And it's really, really simple.
Yeah.
And in her case, her body was more reactive.
yeah,
So she really needed to have it. In your case, Jane is not as
Right.
reactive. She's like not even close.
yeah,
So it makes it easier for you, okay? So I'll send it to you, see how you feel about it, because it is super straightforward.
okay.
And then we can do all the long leash and the recall stuff,
Cool.
okay? So here, we've covered we have the heel, the place to sit down, and then of course the recall, right? And place sitting down, of course, have implied stay.
Mhm.
The only time I use the word stay is when the dog's already in position, okay? So like right now, Jane is in a sit, right? But she's sitting on her own choice, is that correct?
Mhm.
So she could get up as she pleased. And we would not correct her because she's not under command. So here, if you decided, you know what, Jane, I actually need to go move and get up or whatever, but I need you to not move, this is where you would say the word stay.
Mhm.
And then it would become a sit command. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So then at that point, after issuing that stay, she should not move. You would get up and move and she would stay put. Same thing if she were to be on her dog bed and she's laying there on her own choice. And you decide, like, you know what, Jane, I actually need you to not move, stay. Okay, now it becomes a place command.
Mhm.
Okay, so the only time we use it is when the dog's already actively in the position, but not under command.
Okay,
Okay, because the other way it could be done, I've heard people do it in the past, is like if their dog was on the bed, they would take their dog off and then say place
Mm.
to send the dog, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a lot of work, right?
Yeah,
Just say
yeah.
stay, don't move, right? So we don't say place stay, we don't say sit stay, we don't say down stay, only when the dog is in position, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna teach this from the healing position.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna have you get up, I'm gonna put her in the healing position. And go ahead and say heel, and what you're gonna do is just walk down, come around, and like come to a stop here in the middle,
Okay,
and I'll coach you on the rest.
okay, heel.
Okay? Going up and tap for the sit. Okay? So she moved in front of you, so I'm gonna have you do just for the sake of positioning, just pivot so that so you're like this to her, or with her. Good, okay. So what we're gonna do is, okay. What command is Jane in right now?
She's in sit. Or she's not in anything, I didn't tell her.
You said something?
Heel.
Yes, okay. So it's a trick question. Because people always, when I ask them, like,
Yeah.
what command is the dog, and they go sit. I'm
Yeah.
like, did you say sit? They don't know. I'm like, what you say? They said heel, and I say heel, right? So this is an auto sit. This is built into the command of heel,
Mhm.
right? So if you were to move, what would Jane's assumption be?
To move like me.
Correct, right? So this is why we do stay from this command. Because we're going from motion
Mhm.
to motion to stationary, right? So what we're gonna do here is, since she's on your left side, I use my left hand, and I just go like this. It's real simple, just stay.
Mhm.
And don't worry if she's like looking that way and you say stay like this. It's not super necessary that the dog see your hand. This is more so just for the human. So then just stay, and then you're gonna have your remote ready. What's your number currently set at?
18.
Yeah, we'll keep it at 18. You're gonna say stay, and you're gonna choke up on your leash.
Okay.
And you're gonna give her maybe like a foot and a half. And you're gonna pivot out with your right leg like this to face Jane.
Okay.
So it's one big movement, okay? So you go stay, and walk out like this. She should stay put. If she doesn't, let's say when you're going like this, because she goes, oh, you're moving, she's gonna wanna move forward, is you would pull up and then tap, and I'm sorry, stop moving,
Mhm.
pull up, tap. She goes back into position, and then I go back, or I complete the movement.
Okay.
Then I come back to her side, okay? Good girl, and then repeat. So we're in a heel, we come to a stop, she auto sits. I wait a second, stay, shorten that leash, pivot out with the right leg, the face Jane, and any movement towards you, you want to pull up and away. Okay, because if you tap Jane, she's probably going to think tap means come to your side. So we have to restrain her, hold her back, so we're going up and back away from you. And I don't care where she sits, but I don't want her to sit near you.
Okay.
Because if you tap her and she manages to come here and sit in front of you, she thinks that's what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And we want her to learn how to hold back and sit away from you. Okay, you're going to keep repeating that. Eventually you'll say stay and walk around and stuff, and she's going to stay put. She's not going to have that impulsiveness. Okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and shorten your leash a little bit, yep. And you're going to do a quick little wave of stay.
Stay.
And then back to her side. Okay, go and give a little praise here.
Good
And
girl.
I'm going to have you have your remote ready as well.
Okay.
Now, did you see how she flinched?
Yeah.
Okay, because she went like that?
Yeah.
But she didn't move, so that was perfectly fine. We're going to try that 4 more times.
Okay. Stay.
Then back to her side. And I'm sorry, you're going to heel. You're going to walk, come back
Okay.
down, and to reset her brain. Okay?
Heel.
Good. Good. Stay.
Stay.
Good. Good girl. 2 more.
Heel.
Okay, good.
Stay. Good girl.
1 more.
She like looked at you. Is this right? Heel. Stay.
Excellent. So now, we're gonna make it a little bit harder. Everything stays the same. Stay, pivot out, right? Having your leash short. And then you're gonna do like a half moon around Jane. You're gonna come back to land in front of her, and then pivot back to her side, okay?
Okay.
Now during this process, have that hand just up and away, not tight, but ready. Because now that you start moving, that's when dogs tend to have the inclination to want to follow. And then we're going to build from there.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yep.
Heel.
Good.
Stay.
Good. Yeah. Good. And then move. Good. That's okay. That's okay. Back to, there you go. Try it 4 more times.
Heel. Stay.
Good. Good.
Good girl.
3 more.
Heel. Stay. Good girl.
1 more.
Heel.
have you, when you end on that side right there, just hang out right there. Okay, good. So the first one, you saw that little movement, the tap right away, you pushed her back, right? So that's what we're looking for, is when a dog has a good concept, the tap should just push them pretty easily back into position. If she would have kept struggling towards you, that means she's too stuck on tap means to come to my side, and it happens. Or if you see a lot of movement in circles, it means she's confused, she doesn't know what to do, okay? So here, the reason why we're doing stepping away with the right leg is, where do you start heel?
With the left.
The left, right? So left leg means walk with me.
Yeah.
Right leg means don't move, okay? So right now, the reason why we're doing this big pivot is if you tried to go like this, she's definitely more likely going to follow you, okay? So to make it easier for the dog, we do the pivot around, because they can't really heel. I mean, they can, you teach them, but she doesn't have that skill set, right? So she's gonna hold still. Plus, by facing her, have you ever seen, or maybe with Jane, if she's in a sit and she breaks position and you walk towards her, she sits back down?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually called confrontational pressure, when you're face to face, right? So like with people, when you get in arguments, when you get close, right? So same thing for the dog. If I turn them facing them, they're less inclined to move forward because of confrontational pressure, okay? So it helps us just shape that stay component a little bit easier. Eventually, you would just say stay, and you can just walk out like that, right? But in the beginning stages, we do the swoop around to help the dog out. The next thing we're gonna do here is, building off of that half circle, is you're gonna do a full walk around Jane here.
Okay.
Now, the back side tends to be difficult for dogs. So what we may see is, she's gonna be sitting, you're gonna walk around, and as soon as you get out of that range, she's probably gonna wanna get up to look at you, right? If she does that, you would tap, pull up, she puts her butt back down, and then you'll try to, you'll reset your circle and try to do a complete circle from there, okay?
Okay.
So every time she breaks position prematurely, you reset your circle, or you correct her and then reset, okay? The other thing that you may see is she'll be sitting down, and as you go around her, she'll do this, right? She did a little bit right now, the swivel. If she swivels, I leave it alone.
Okay.
Okay, because technically it's like a loophole, right?
Yeah.
She's got the butt on the ground.
Yeah.
Is that goes away on its own. Once the dog learns, like, oh, you're just gonna walk around in a circle, cool, no problem. That swiveling behavior goes away.
Okay.
Okay? So we're gonna come back to her side. Good.
Good girl.
And heel.
Heel.
Stretch.
Okay. Big stretch.
Good.
Stay.
Good. Good.
Good girl.
Try it 4 more times.
Heel.
Good.
Stay. Good girl.
last one.
Heel.
Good.
Stay.
Excellent.
Good job.
What I'm gonna have you do here, same concept. Stay, you're gonna do that walk around, and then you're gonna counter and come back around, land in front of her, and you pivot to the side.
Okay. Do the walking too?
Correct.
Yeah. Heel. Stay.
Good. Good. Excellent. Just a couple more.
Heel. Stay.
Good. Good.
Good girl.
And one more.
Heel. Stay.
She thought about it.
Yeah.
You saw that little flinch?
Uh-huh.
And here, go to stop in front of her. Let your leash go a little slack. And then back up a little bit. Yeah, like that. Perfect, right? So now, you just had a little flinch at the end right there too. So part of that movement away like this is similar to what?
Just like back, like the non-confrontational.
Non-confrontational, but where have we used this before?
Oh, and recall.
In recall,
Yeah.
right? So here, dogs read body language very, very well, okay? And we want her to really lock into that word and go like, okay, mom said stay. So movement back would typically mean move towards me, right? Move towards her. But I know we're not doing that right now, right? So that's where that kind of impulse came in. Plus, like you said, you're taking off confrontation. So when I deal with the dog, I actually just had one last week, was going crazy. And I came in with my bite pants, and I used my bite pants to text the dog. And he was acting all big and tough, and I just sat there for a bit. And eventually he was like backing off because he has to take off pressure because he wasn't a strong dog, he was a weak dog. And then when I kept him under too much pressure, he wanted to alleviate it. And he stepped back, and then when I stepped back, he then charged forward. Okay, because I took off pressure, so he's like, oh, now I'm gonna be a tough guy again, right? So here, different kind of conversation, when you're having that, when you're that close to her, like, okay, but then we take that pressure off, it creates this movement of wanting to move towards you, okay? So here, she's doing really good, only had to correct a couple of times.
Yeah.
And we're just gradually just making it more difficult, right? A little bit more movements and stuff like that. And then here, stepping away, adding more of a gap, because also the farther away from your dog, the less power they think you have, right? Because dogs can't correct each other from a distance. So they know that a dog like 40 feet away wouldn't be a threat, right? But here with the leash and the e-collar, correct, you can still address her, right? So here, building up to bigger distances. So you technically now have like the 6 foundational family pet obedience commands. And you can take them as far as you'd like. It just requires practicing at a greater distance. Okay, so then that's when we switch to the long leash. So then the long leash, I can practice sit, stay down, come, place, and get even further away from her. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So this is where we start to blend everything together. Because now we have to build concepts or clarify, I'm sorry, all the concepts of what each word means. When we teach more things, we always create problems. Okay, so here you might see when you're in heel, now that you're doing stay, you might say heel, and when you start walking, there's a delay. Because she's gonna have to start deciphering between stay and heel. Okay, so that's normal. So if I say heel and I start walking, the dog doesn't move, I just tap. And I keep my movement to let them know, like, no, like we're moving, right? Because of the body language. Stepping with that left foot, but also when I'm moving and I remote her, she's thinking, oh, this must be in heel because you're in motion, right? As opposed to if I step away with the right leg and I pivot to face her, that's different, okay? So questions about this so far?
Nope.
So now it's like, where do we find application for this?
Yeah.
Right, so to make your 6 commands realistically applicable, we have to start practicing them. So one, like some people when they walk out their buildings, like they'll say stay, and they'll come out, okay, break, and then heel, right? After their dog poops, you know, if the dog poops and then like sits down or whatever, you can say sit, or if she's already in the sitting position, you can just say stay.
Yeah.
As you pick up her mess and then go to toss it. Maybe when you go to throw away something, stay. You step away, throw away whatever it is, come back, good, heel. Then we move, okay? People make their dogs usually stay for food.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's just finding little places where you can put it so that she starts using it and it becomes a functioning command. Now stay, in my book, is probably one of the least useful because you have sit down in place, right? You already have commands that come with the implied stay. And a lot of times dogs do things by default with the way that I train, right? So like with the, even if I'm not walking my dogs in the heel, if I stop, you're probably gonna see them 99.9% of the time just sit anyways, right? So just finding places where we can put all these things so that as you just go about your day with her and you walk her and stuff, you're using it every day and it's keeping it functional, okay? Questions so far about this?
Nope.
When it comes to the sit, this is the one command, it's of course a stationary command, but it's not one that I push for long periods of time, right? So like here we've probably been talking to you 5 minutes and you can already see where she's kind of getting uneasy. That's because sitting for a long period of time for a dog can become uncomfortable. So if I know if it's going to be anything longer than a few minutes, I usually just resort to the down. So if the dog doesn't prematurely break the command, and I know that already the dog's going to become uncomfortable. So just keep that in mind. What we're going to do here is we're going to do a few more. You're going to say heel, you know, come around, come no stop. You're going to walk around, and then you're going to come in, and you're going to give her a lot of praise. Good girl, good girl, give her a lot of energy. And then have her move ready, and then you're going to step away. Okay, she's supposed to hold that command. We don't need to repeat anything. Once you've cued the stay, it's in effect until you either say break, heel, down, whatever other word, right? Would then override it. But unless you say anything, she's stuck in that stay. Okay, so go ahead and pivot back to her side. Good. And heel.
Heel. Stay. All the way around?
Yeah, gonna walk around. You're gonna come in lots of praise.
Good girl. Good girl. You're a good girl. You're so smart. Good girl.
Then you're gonna step back. Yep. 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 Good. Go ahead and fix your leash. Good. Yep. Good. Go ahead and step back. Good. And then walk around again. And back to her side. Excellent. And then we're gonna repeat that one more time, okay?
Okay.
Right. Or heel.
Heel. Stay. Good girl. Good girl.
Right. Good. Good hip. Good. Good pop around. You're at 18?
Yeah.
Let's try 22. Good. Good. Yep.
Heel.
Okay, 3 more times.
Stay. Good girl. Good girl.
Got her. Right, she thought about it right there, right? Putting a quick walk around. Good. 2 more.
Heel. Stay. Good girl. Good girl. That's so good.
Okay. Good. Good. 1 more.
Heel. Stay. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
And then here. Good. When you walk around, I'm gonna have you stop behind her. Okay. Right there. Perfect. So she only got up, I think, on 2 of them. Is that correct? So what does that tell us?
She is learning.
She's learning, right? But that part, this part needs more work, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but I usually do reps of 5,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's an easy count, like, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%. So she's at 60%, right? But everything else was pretty much 100 or 80%. Other than like, there was only 2 other times when she made a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I keep progressing. So here I go, okay, you coming into her space and praising her is a big distraction that when you pull away and she wants to follow. Is I keep her here, we practice until eventually it's easy peasy.
Mhm.
Then you can move to the next thing, right? So like if I have a dog that has a really good ball drive and they'll go crazy for it. And we teach the stay, we're working it up, and then I bring the ball out, they're gonna stay and they start bouncing the ball. And as soon as that ball hits the ground, the dog gets up because they want it. We correct it,
Yeah.
we start proofing, right? Because I'm using the dog's favorite thing. But I don't advance to, like, for instance, throwing the ball until I know the dog is good with just even the dog bouncing, right? And there's some dogs that actually just shoulder the ball.
Yeah.
And they're like going crazy for it.
That's
So I can't go,
changing.
so I can't go to the bouncing stage, right?
Yeah.
So let's say when you're working with her, if you know a ball or a toy is her jam, we use it to our advantage. So I'm not against positive reinforcement. It's a great tool. I don't rely on it to create reliable obedience, but it's great as a reinforcer, right? So like if Jane's got good ball drive and she's in a stay, and you bring out that toy and she breaks immediately for it, and I correct her and I pull it out, she gets up again, I keep correcting. Obviously we're not going to move to this until she's fine with just even looking at it, right? And I can walk around it, her, and I can wave it, stuff like that, she's fine. And then I repeat that, 5 reps or whatever, then I move to bouncing. And then once I can get her doing 5 with no issues pretty consistently, then I go to throwing, right? And what's great about it is that you have a distraction and a reward. So if I have a dog that where I can throw the ball and they'll hold, and then when I say break, they'll charge and go get it, it's really easy to work with them, right? Because they'll remember where the ball is at and they want to get it. Whereas a lot of dogs, they need the pursuit as it's moving in order to be interested. So I'm not sure where she falls with that.
Yeah.
But it's something that you can use for her.
Yeah.
Like with stuff like this, you can do a place command, you can do it with the down command as well. The reason why I'm having you sit behind her is because you can see where she's kind of going like this, like, what are you doing, right? Because I know she has some attachment, right? So here, just even standing behind her where you're out of that visual is a little bit of a challenge, okay? So questions about this so far?
No.
Let me think here. So what I'm gonna go over with you now is just taking these things and blending them, okay? When you do when you train her or whatever, are you really at this moment, are you just like using the commands, or are you having little training sessions?
More using the commands than having
Okay.
little training sessions.
Okay.
She's just gone most of the day because she goes to daycare. But yeah, when she comes back, we'll do it sometimes.
Okay. Which stationary command do you use more, down or place?
I'm working on place. That
Okay.
one is important to me
Okay.
because of her jumping, which she's so much better at. But yeah.
So what we're gonna do here is I'm going to show you something. And this is more so to help her with concepts, okay? Because now she's going to have a vocabulary of, technically 7 words, but one is a release. Is go ahead and stand next to her. And I'm going to have you cue the down command and just have your remote ready, okay?
Down.
Good. And wait a moment. Good. And then go ahead and just take a step back.
I moved my body.
You did.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and say place.
Go to your bed.
Tip. Tip. And a little bit of a pull. Tip. Right there. Good. Now, I don't know if I told you this before, but in case I forgot. When we send dogs to place, or at least in my theory of training, I don't say sit her down. Right? Because let's say you did say down. What command is she in?
She's in down.
Correct, not place, right? Is places go there, and I don't care what you do, sit, stand, or lay down. Just don't get off. But once you cue the down, it's no longer place, it's a down command. So that she cannot get up from that specific position. And the reason why I say people not to do that is because in the past I've had people do that, and they would forget. And then the dog would get up. And I'll tell them you have to correct that. Because I know the dog's on place. I know the dog is not down. Because you said down, it's the last time you said that overrides the previous place command. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah. How's it? Because now it creates a gray area.
Yeah.
Because the dog doesn't understand that they were on a down on place, right? They just think I was on down, and I got up and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So here, going between the commands, okay? Because now you have sit, stay, down, place, and come, right? And heel. Is going in between each of the commands, and this is to help her clarify. So she was in a stay, which was a sitting position. Then you sit down, she did it, and then I said send her to place, and then she got stuck, right? And you were tapping, maybe on the 3rd or 4th tap, she finally got up with a little bit of guidance, and she went there, right? Is you're just cycling through your commands to teach her that commands can come at any point, and this helps her to clarify. to kind of really get concrete concepts of like, okay, place is here, sit is this, down is this, come is this, stays, don't move, right?
Yeah.
Is stuff like this, real short, 3 to 5 minutes, going through things. And if you see her, she's going, like, doing downs and sits and plays and all that stuff very easily and consistently, and you want to make it better, you can bring in your ball, okay, as an added distraction and also as a reward.
Yeah.
Break, boom, I throw it, she goes and gets it, the girl, we play for a second or so.
Yeah.
Okay, drop, boom, sit,
Okay.
down. Break, good, boom, throw it, okay, if you want. You can also remove the ball and stuff and just cycle through commands like this, and you're still going to get the reliableness. It's just the energy would look different, okay? So here, go ahead and pivot so that she's on your left.
She's on my left.
Yeah, like that, good. And then you're just going to a heel.
Heel.
And then walk. Yep. Good. And turn. Go ahead and come down and kind of U-turn and come back. And come to a stop there. Okay. Tap for the elbow sit. Good. Issue to stay.
Stay.
Pivot out. Wrong foot, yep. Alright. Here, go ahead and stay place.
Go to your bed.
Good, that's a good one. Now break, go backwards.
Have a break.
Move, yep, break.
Okay.
Good. And then here, down.
Down.
Good, go ahead and step out and walk around. Good. And then you're gonna, from where you're standing, go ahead and put her in a sit.
Sit.
Good. Down.
Down.
Good. Break.
Okay.
Good. And you want to just like, she's not having her command, just kind of meander and like move backwards of her.
Yeah.
And good. Then kind of walk towards this way. Good. Go into place.
Go to your bed.
Good. Break backwards.
Okay.
Good. Sit.
Sit.
Alright, go and walk around. Tap. Good. Walk, tap. Up. There you go. Good. Walk around. Good. Down.
Down.
Alright. Kind of girl. And then heel, walk forward.
Heel.
There you go. Good. Go ahead and come to a stop. Good. Stay.
Stay.
Walk out. Yep. Going down from there.
Down.
Okay.
Down.
There you go. You got it. Good. Go ahead and lightly pull up, sit.
Sit.
Good. Back to her side. Good. Heel.
Heel.
Good. And come to a stop. Tip. Good. Wait a moment. Down.
Down.
Good. And then step out. Perfect. So here, like that, right? You're just going between the commands, there's no pattern. So like I think we did the puppy push-ups, right? Sit down, sit down, sit down, whatever. So that we could go through them to help her clarify between the two individual commands. And she's got a good concept.
Yeah.
She's responding really well. She's only had to need a couple of corrections. But changing where you're putting in the commands, so she has to think about it. One of the most common problems I see is a lot of dogs, once they learn place and you do something like this, they'll like you'll say down and they'll shoot to place. Okay, for whatever reason they favor this, I think because of just how easy it is. So it's also a means of her to make mistakes. Like let's say you said down, and she went from your side over here, you would pull back and tap to bring her back towards you. We wouldn't say anything, you'll just keep the pressure on. And she's got to think like, what was I told, or what was the last thing that was said? And then try to figure it out, okay? So this kind of session, 3 to 5 minutes, real short, a couple times a day. And then just think to yourself how you can make it better. This is really just to create more quicker responses, very clear just association of what each word is. And then if you wanted to start balancing out, you can incorporate like, the ball or whatever. Because now you're well versed enough in the remote and how it works that it's not too much, or shouldn't be too much to add in something else. And during these times where it's really cold, some of my clients, like, they would usually do like walks or whatever with their dog, and because it's so cold, they usually like will play fetch. Because it's an easy thing to do. Dogs running a lot, burning a lot of energy, and I'll tell them that they can blend fetch with this. Right, and they're just combining the two, and it's even more work because now the dog has to work for the reward, but they also have to think when they're in an escalated state of mind. Okay, so it's the reward at the same time the owner's practicing the training, so they're keeping it functional, right? So that come the springtime, they haven't really lost anything, because that's a super common problem. Is typically winter hits, people get lazier, right? They don't do as much outside. And then because their dog's not outside as much either, they're not really practicing inside. So then come the springtime, I usually get emails saying, hey Jesse, like the dog kind of regressed a bit. And almost always it's just like raise the number. But it's a common thing. So that's why I tell everybody, whatever you do with your dog, whether it's a 5-minute walk, whatever, try to employ as much stuff as you've learned so you don't lose it. So the dog won't forget it. It'll just not be as good as it was, when things were like really heavy with training. Okay?
That makes sense. I mean, I tried to take her for a walk, like rather than just going outside to the bathroom, I had to carry her back home.
What's her like threshold? Is like 10 minutes out there? Or?
I think the problem was like, people aren't so great about shoveling, and it was just like too cold. It was just like, I was like, we'll do a walk around the block. It was like one of the days last week where it was cold, but it was sunny. So I'm like, it's not so bad.
Oh, and, yeah, nothing about
And then we got like around the block and we were coming back home, and I ended up carrying her.
Okay. Probably maybe the salt too.
That's probably part of it, but
yeah. My dogs are from Texas, so they want nothing to do with this weather. They just sleep all day. So, but yeah, finding where you can practice it, even if like it's in a hallway or something. And like even this stuff here, you can do inside of a small room like this, right? So it's not outside, but you're still using it. Okay. So for this week, you have to stay now, and then next time I'll try to remember to send you that video. And then when I see you, we can pick and choose, because at that point we have no choice but to do long leash stuff. But at least this just buys you a little bit more time with the cold. Okay? Awesome. Good job.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay. Come here. Good girl. You're so smart, Janie.